I'm really speaking about joy. I'm also very pleased to introduce on my right a former advisee. Omari Booker graduated from MBA in 1998. He went on, I should add, he was very focused, as you'll see by his height, on basketball when he was here. But in his senior year, through Mr. Womack's tutelage, he got very interested in art. And although he played basketball in college some and had a little bit of a circuitous career that he'll talk about, I'm sure, with you personally, if not now, found a vocation in art and particularly in North Nashville. He, this summer, painted a mural of his sister, who sadly died in around 2002. His sister had a congenital heart condition, and she had finished Spelman College and Vanderbilt Law School, set for a great career, but her life ended tragically. And Omari did a beautiful mural of her on Charlotte Avenue that you can see. He does a lot of work, like some people that are getting a good bit of fame right now. Banksy, some of you probably saw that media splash about him recently, and then an artist that'll be here in about a month's time or less, named Black Lorette, and we'll talk more about him later. But for now, please join me in welcoming Omari Booker back to MBA.
All right, good morning. Definitely glad to be here. We got some slides up, so we're ready. So yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about art and also a little bit about my just my path from your seat to, I guess, around 20 years later. So it's good to be back. It's good to know that I might get off the campus with no demerits this time. I don't have to go to any Latin classes and no suicides after school. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. It's rainy Monday morning. So I started off at MBA. I was here for high school, went on to Belmont for college, took many years off of school, and then went back to Tennessee State University where I finished school. This first slide, this is from North Nashville. It's a painting that I did on a large door, and it shows the Worthen Lofts, and on the other side of the street it shows Cheatham Place, public housing. I thought it was a really interesting dynamic to have public housing right next to really high-end lofts, literally across the street, where you could throw a football into the window of the projects from the window of a very expensive gated community. So that's kind of what I started looking at in North Nashville, 37208. That's the zip code where I spent a lot of time as a kid, went every summer to play tennis and go to different programs. And my parents were really, really intent on making sure that I spent time in that area. They said, if you're going to be a black kid going to a school with a lot of white kids, we're going to find a way to put you in an area where you can be around other people that look like you. And I thought that was really important, and it's led me to work in that area a lot as an adult, and kind of get back over there and see what change that I could help affect. And that's going to come back around to you all pretty soon. But yeah, my purpose with artwork is, a lot of it is to highlight things that aren't often seen. And so that's kind of led me to work in this area. Speaking of the quartet over there, which was extremely incredible, I got to give them one more. Yeah. So yeah, that's a special thing. That's a special thing to see it a Monday morning at your school. And I didn't appreciate that in the way that I do now, but after looking around at more of society and seeing what happens in a lot of different places, definitely have a deep appreciation for what's going on at MBA, because it's not going on everywhere. That's a group that could play at Rudy's Jazz Room, which you may not know what that is, but that's a little jazz spot in the Gulch, and yeah, they could stand up to any group that goes in there and plays right now. So there's a lot of privilege in going to a school like this and coming up in this sort of environment. And with that privilege, there's a lot of responsibility to see what you can help change in the world and help to make things better for other people. So yeah, it is. It is a special place. Public art. I'm going to go to kind of my next slide, and then we'll keep on getting into sort of this community, the community theme. That's where I've ended up with my artwork. This a house was. This is actually in Edgehill. This isn't in North Nashville, but a young woman put up a sign in her house that said this house is not for sale, because there were a lot of, as we said, there are hundreds of people moving to Nashville every day, so that's a lot of places that need homes and a lot of developments and developers. And because she kind of saw the integrity of the neighborhood shifting in a way that she didn't like, she put this sign up so she would stop getting requests to buy her house. The next 3 slides we're going to go through, they're talking about also that 37208 neighborhood. That's the most incarcerated neighborhood in the country, the most incarcerated zip code, which is right here in Nashville, and it's a great city, and honestly, it's a great neighborhood. When you discuss incarceration, it's not just being in prison, it's being on parole and being on probation and the way that certain areas are policed versus other areas. So these 3 kids are in this neighborhood. I named this series Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, because 1 in 3 black men will be incarcerated at some point in their life. So we'll go through, this is Eeny. This series is now in Washington, D.C. The woman who founded the Children's Defense Fund, her name is Marian Wright Edelman. She purchased this series of works to have as public art in their space and to hopefully inspire them with the work that they're doing. And so the burglar bars that are attached to these images, they came out of housing in North Nashville. So as housing was being torn down, I had some friends that worked maintenance, and they gave me the burglar bars, and I adhered them to panels after I created the paintings. And so Eeny, Meeny, Miny, and Mo is a mirror where I painted the cell on the mirror. So hopefully as someone goes through that series of works, they'll look at that last piece and think, well, what if this were me? What if this were me in that area, or what if this were me in that situation? How would I want society to shift to make things? How would I feel if I were in that kid's situation? And those are all kids that I've met just in the neighborhood, and they're all kind of doing their various things. None of them are in any kind of trouble, but the hope is to push things so as they get to be 14, 15, 16, 17, they don't go through some of the things that a lot of kids and even myself went through. And that was part of my journey between MBA and now was a 15-year prison sentence. It was for a drug possession, and I did 3.5 of those years, came home and started painting every day. Found a lot of liberation in that, and also worked plenty of jobs and just kind of kept on putting one foot in front of the other until we ended up here. So yeah, this is me and my big sister. So Mr. Joya talked about Damali. She graduated from Harpeth Hall in '96. I came out of MBA in '98, and as we said, she did pass away. But yeah, I had the opportunity to do a mural on Charlotte, and part of that community work is putting images in communities that sort of highlight everything about the area. And sure, people might know the statistic of 37208 being a highly policed neighborhood, but it's also a neighborhood where me and her grew up playing tennis every summer, and Fisk University, Tennessee State University, Meharry, American Baptist Bible College. So 4 historically black universities are also housed in that same area. So yeah, I think you can use public art to have access to a mass of people where, like I said, that you may not get that jazz quartet at every high school or every school in the city, but every kid can walk by a mural and say, yeah, I mean, that kid looks like me, and that's kind of cool. Or that's something that I may not have original artwork in my house, or I may not go to museums, but public art, I mean, it's here for all of us. And I think that's really important. I think when you spend that time with Black Lorette and you see someone who's done it all over the world, I had a and just a really incredible clip. I think he'll be able to go deeper into what that means to him and how that has helped shift communities that he's spent time in. So this is a mural project over at in East Nashville, behind Center 615. And so a few kids kind of randomly came across the street and did some painting with me one day. And I think that's another thing that public art can do. I spend a lot of time in my studio because studio art is my main focus. I'm painting on canvases and panels, etc. But when you're outside painting and someone's across the street throwing a football or playing basketball or whatever, they can come and engage and see that, you know, there are tons of opportunities that you can find. You know, I was a pretty good basketball player, man. Ronnie Mack, he'll tell you, Coach Mack will tell you I was okay. but you know, Father Time's undefeated. You know, after a while, you find something else that you can do, and so grateful for Mr. Womack. I'm not sure where he is, but there he is. But yeah, he introduced me to truly a life-changing gift that I couldn't thank him enough. I could not thank him enough. There's been nothing more influential than artwork in my life. So yeah. And as we kind of look at the kids that are in some of those neighborhoods and in areas that are just less fortunate, as I was kind of reflecting this morning, I think about, you know, surviving the system, and people that are in the system have to survive the system. You know, you go through whatever your situation is and you try to come out the best you can, and it's up to us to change the system. Like, we are fortunate enough to not be in the position where we just have to survive it, but you all will be the decision makers. You all will be the ones that figure out how laws and neighborhoods and areas get developed and all that. That's going to be your future. And so I'm really grateful to be able to share some time with you. And I'm extremely accessible. Mr. Joy or any of your instructors can get you my information, email, any of that. I'd love to come back and chat with anyone personally that would like to. And just thank you for having me.
Thank you, Omari. It's great to have you back here. His work will be in our art show in a few weeks' time, and I know we'll be back when Black Lorette's here as well, so you'll see him back on the campus at that time.